Today I want to share with you another perspective on how you can build AI agents. The more I work with AI applications, the more I realize that having just one agent that has many tools in it is not really reliable. And where you're defining in the prompt, like here, where I'm defining the workflow and workflows versus agents, it's the whole topic in and of itself. But today I want to share with you how you can gain and improve reliability of your agent by getting control over the loop and over your context window. So this is our usual agent. I've defined here generate text. I'm using here AI SDK and TypeScript. I've defined the system prompt right here, where I'm saying that this is a deep search agent, and I've defined it here workflow. But also you can imagine that we want to format the output in a certain way, so we would define it probably right here as well. And we have many tools. We have browser tool to search the web and get like the snippets and the sources. Then we have another tool to scrape those sources, and that's it. And if needed, AI can loop over the tools and perform search once again to get even more information. And once it's satisfied and it thinks that it will fulfill the user request, then it will respond to the user. So problem lies here in a few places. First is that we have defined one prompt to do all our workflow, which is not good because for example, if you want to improve the output, the end output of summarization and outputting to the user, we then need to update this one string, and we don't really know if we will harm other places and our parts of the workflow. So this is first problem. Another thing here is that we're not controlling the context really. So what we're executing and returning from tools is just JSON, but as we all know, JSON is probably not the best way to communicate with AI. And that's why we want to have flexibility to opt out of the outputting JSON or have ability to be using JSON. But with current implementation, we can only output the JSON back to AI and communicate in JSON strings. But for example, if we want to test with XML tags, we can't really do this with tools. So that's why we want to control the context more. And that's why we need to control loop as well, because in between steps, we want to insert certain information into our context to provide back to AI in a certain way. Here we are only communicating in JSON. It calls tools and it gets JSON back. That's why I want to share with you another perspective on how you can build this. I'm not saying that this case is wrong and that you cannot do it. And maybe in the future, and most likely in the future, we're going to all write something like this. Not sure. But what I know for sure is that you want to be able to have control over as many parts of AI interaction as possible. So here, let's look at another way of building it. First, what you will notice is that we're defining the loop right here on the top, and we're having steps as a variable. Next, we're generating a structured output with the next step. So we still have our agentic flow of deciding steps, but we have moved it into the structured output, and we're deciding which step to take. You still have your step, which is search, scrape, and answer, which is similar to this. We have search, scrape, and you can probably make it different because it's basically a workflow when I look at it, but it's just an example, okay? This whole deep search could be represented as just one workflow, but whatever, just as an example. We're defining our step, so we're getting the next step of the AI, what AI decides to do. We're not having AI as this entity that does this and calls these tools. All it does is just like a function. You give it some context and it decides what the most likely next step for us to complete the task. So it's like a reframing on how you view AI, from this entity that calls tools to just a function that decides the likely next step based on the context. That's what we're doing here. We're defining our structured output, and based on the step, we're doing just performing action. For now, it's just context push, but that's another thing. We've moved our context out of the agent itself. For now, it's just a string, but most likely if you would implement it, it would be some kind of class where you have, let me show you, where you have like a setters, getters, like set, for example, set queries, like so, and we will have like get queries. But what we will do here, for example, we can format it whatever we want to give it back to the agent. So for example, we want to format it in XML, and we can easily do that. So the advantage of it is we have full control of what goes into the context and in which format. So here, for example, we can define queries, and we can do it like this and provide it right here. We can define our context. We can do it like this and do it like this and provide the context. And with each step, you will like add to the context, and it will add it to the context of the AI. And what you will notice here with the wording of the prompt, we're saying here is what happened so far. What should we do next? And we're providing the context. So as you can see, it's not like this, as I said, entity that calls tools and it decides what to do and stuff like that. It still decides what to do, but the main difference is we're treating it as just a function that gets tokens in and gets decision out. That's all it is. So this was a big shift for me, that we need to have as much control as possible over the AI, and by doing this we will provide better context and we'll get better results. Some people also might be concerned about the UX, but if you think about it, you can also stream the object back to the client and show the actual steps and what happened and what is happening at the moment. So the UX is not a problem, and you can solve it. And I learned this first from 12-factor agents repository on GitHub. You can also find multiple podcasts. And I'm going to leave all the links in the description, of course. So yeah, I just wanted to share my perspective on building agents. And it will shift and change probably in the next few months, of course, again. But yeah, that's it. I hope you found this helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.